find it.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled Scio Township Planning Commission meeting for April 22nd, 2024. And with that, will you call roll?
Commissioners of the Scio Township Planning Commission. Gable. Present. Moore.
Present.
Rothney.
Here.
Walsh here. Hyde. Weiser. Present. Culberson.
Present. All right, with that, we'll move to adoption of the agenda.
Chair, I would move the adoption of the agenda.
Is there support? Support from Commissioner Hyde? Motion by Commissioner Reiser. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda is adopted as posted. Communications and correspondence. Does anyone there was nothing in the packet? Is there anything anyone wants to report? All right, moving on. We have no presentations, so we'll move to the public comment portion. And people wishing to address the Planning Commission on matters that are not on the public hearing portion of the agenda or seek information on any other matters are welcome to participate in public comment. Such oral presentations shall be limited to 3 minutes, except a representative or spokesperson of an organization shall have 5 minutes to address the commission. So if you are here for the Trailwoods site plan amendment, we'll open a specific public hearing for that comment. This is more of a general public comment at this point. So if we do have people joining us tonight here at Township Hall, and typically we ask those who would like to address the Planning Commission in person to come up first. Is there anyone here that wants to address the Planning Commission on anything other than Trailwoods? All right, seeing none, we'll move to those public online. If you could raise your hand and we will promote you. Allow you to speak. Thank you. I'll move over.
Chair, I don't see any hand raised.
All right,
Want to confirm that?
then I'll entertain a motion to close public comment. Moved by Commissioner Hyde, supported by Commissioner Rothney. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Right. Public comment is closed at 7:03. Then we'll move on this evening. We do have a scheduled public hearing. It is SP number 24005, Trailwoods Major Amendment. And with that, I'll declare the public hearing for Trailwoods open at 7:04. Typically a public hearing, we kind of follow this agenda. We hear from the applicant. They do a short presentation. Then we also hear from our planning consultant and engineering consultants. And Planning Commission members can ask questions of general facts, and then we open it up to the public for comment. Again, folks in the room and then the public online. So with that, if the applicant would like to come forward. And I am going to, I forgot to turn on the backup.
Just a minute.
Welcome.
Hello, good evening. Can I be enabled as a participant?
With the panelist, sir?
Yes. Analyst, participant?
Yes.
Scott Betzel.
Thank you.
Can we know their names for the? Yeah. Okay. Please do introduce yourselves.
Good evening. My name is Scott Betzel. I am from Midwestern Consulting. I am the civil engineer for this project and the project manager. And with me tonight,
I'm David Stolman, I'm president of Biltmore, the development project.
I'm just joining.
Okay, yes, it took a while, a little late. There you go. You have what you need as far as access?
Let's see, I should here.
That's your panel, sir.
Yep.
There we go. There we go. Okay, now everything's there. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, we are here before you, to seek an approval for a major administrative amendment to the previously approved PUD final site plan for the Trail Woods residential project. This amendment has arisen from a need to alter the geometry of the Honey Creek and South Stabler roads such that South Stabler Road would be relocated within the drain easement to the east where Honey Creek currently lies. This allows for the optimal balance of stream relocation and stream enclosure to those stakeholders who have concerns. This amendment would result in the relocation of parts of Honey Creek, relocations of South Stabler Road, a conversion of 0.56 acres of open space to right of way, and removal of 25 previously planted trees, removal of 11 native trees, and replanting of 59 new trees. I'm gonna approach this as two broad topics to discuss. One is, how did we get to the point of being in front of you this evening in need of an administrative amendment? And what are we doing to address the concerns that were voiced by the community due to the knowledge of this, the result of this? So first of all, let's start with how did we get here? I'm gonna do this briefly because I think you guys have heard this and most people understand this, so I don't want to take a lot of time. Prior to the township final approval of the PUD site plan, we obviously had stakeholders that needed us to respond to their needs, including the Washtenaw County Road Commission, the Washtenaw County Water Resources Commission, and eventually the Michigan Eagle for a permit. The Washtenaw County Road Commission had the most input in this particular design, as they had critical infrastructure involved in the design, existing bridges, and they had a interest in how we were going to solve this problem. The Washtenaw County Road Commission immediately noted that there was going to be a need for improvements on the roads surrounding the Trail Woods development. They're gravel roads. And so they identified 4 phases of improvements that eventually made their way into a road improvement agreement. And these are the phases. I'm not sure if you guys, what's better for everyone to look at, but phase 1 initially included the paving of about 300 feet of Stabler Road where the pavement ended by the Kirkwave Scio project to past the northerly entrance of phase 1E of Trailwoods. Phase 2 was a dedicated right turn lane for eastbound traffic on Jackson Avenue, for southbound traffic on Stabler Road. Phase 3 is currently where we're at. All of these phases were set and memorialized as to when they would occur based on certain phases of the subdivision occurring and being completed. We reached the onset of phase 3 construction about dead smack in the middle of COVID. And so it got a little bit delayed, and then the permitting process took a little longer. Phase 3 includes the paving of the balance of Stabler Road, paving of Park Road to a point, and this drawing isn't even actual, but by the time we negotiated this, it took us beyond the entrances to the 2 subdivisions, Country French and Arbor Point, to a point 200 feet beyond both of those entrances you can see my cursor right about there. It also it also included the replacement of two structures of the Honey Creek. And I'll show you those in a minute here, that cross both Park Road and Stabler Road. This road improvement, hold on, it's in a bad place. The road improvement agreement that was signed on July 21st, 2015 stipulated all the various phases of the improvements that needed to occur. Included in that was the replace the existing structures over Honey Creek Drain on Stabler Road, just north of Park Road, and on Park Road, just east of Stabler Road, with one structure over the Honey Creek Drain. Replacing the existing structure shall include the realignment of both Stabler Roads and the Honey Creek Drain. So this was memorialized in the road improvement agreement, which at that point, I know none of you guys were here. Laura was the only one that was here. There was discussion about that, and all planning commissioners and board of trustees were fully aware that this was the arrangement and this was agreed to. And the road improvement agreement was brought into the development agreement as part of the development agreement signed by the township. So this has memorialized both in the county's contract with the developer and the township's contract with the developer.
And when was that signed?
It is signed July 21st, 2015. So we began studying different options with the road commission and drain commission of how to incorporate this. Because to everybody with a technical background, and even those who don't, probably see this alignment of having a county drain cross two roads in such close proximity to one another, that just screams that needs to be improved, and that needs to be one crossing and not two crossings. And so the drain commission was on board immediately, and they said to us, work it out with the road commission. I'm sure we can agree on something as long as our drain is still conveying water and at the same rate that it is right now. And so we looked at several options with the road commission, and we knew that we had to eventually, the biggest obstacle was going to be getting a permit from the state of Michigan, from Eagle. We looked at the alternatives that we looked at, either had too much enclosure of the county drain with a box culvert. The box culvert is the method of choice. It's just what the road commission likes. They're low maintenance, they last a long time, they don't have ongoing maintenance whatsoever. On the other hand, Eagle doesn't like them as much because they're dark. And so we have conflicting interests here. So we have to balance the interests of both of them.
I'm sorry.
They're too
Doesn't
dark.
Like they're too dark?
Yeah, they're dark. They're not like a bridge where the light, it comes in on each side. Apparently, you know, some of the animals, the fish and wildlife and aquatic species don't like to go through dark culverts. I can appreciate that. So anyhow, we had to balance, we looked at various options that balance the amount of enclosure and the amount of drain relocation. Also, prime concerns were with the road commission was how much maintenance. Bridges were immediately overruled. The road commission didn't want anything to do with bridges. Bridges require continuous maintenance. Box culverts, not so much. So they're in the business of maintaining assets, and they didn't want to maintain anything they didn't have to. So they're very big proponents of box culverts, and I understand their position. So looking at different options, I'm gonna jump right to like a big question that everybody has. Everybody wants to know, why can't we just use one box culvert and cross through the intersection without realigning Stabler Road? And so I'm gonna take you through an exercise, because this is the first thing that we looked at. I mean, it's the obvious solution. Unfortunately, I'm gonna show you why it doesn't work in the eyes of the people who would be permitting this. All right, what I'm showing you right now is the existing conditions that are out there right now. The light sandy brown is Stabler Road as it exists right now as basically a 20-foot wide gravel road. At 20 feet, immediately off the sides, it jumps up and there's vegetation there. There's really no shoulder to speak of. It's a narrow road. When you pass by people, you inevitably slow way down. You see in green, you have the existing county drain easement on both sides. So that's what's there to work with. Lighter in yellow is the county right of way. Existing right of way is this pink line. Our goal was initially to keep all of these improvements within the confines of the right of way or the county drain easement. That just makes life a lot easier. We know that neighboring property owners were not likely to grant additional easements. That just doesn't happen very often. And so when we look at this initially, we immediately recognized that we've got a county drain immediately off the shoulder of an existing road that is substandard width. So we needed to take a look at what would happen if the road was improved in this location. So now what you see here is in red lines here, the new road. A new road would be comprised of two 12-foot lanes, a 5-foot paved shoulder on each side of those lanes, and then a 2-foot gravel shoulder beyond that. So our 20-foot road that exists out there now grows to 38 feet in width.
Scott, would you just sort of talk about what requirements drive that for people?
Well, the standard lane width for a driven road these days by AASHTO standards is 12 feet. The 5-foot paved foot shoulder on each side is for pedestrian and bicycle traffic. And then the 2-foot gravel shoulder outboard of that is then part of the runoff zone. So if a vehicle has to pull over, you have an actual improved structural surface and it's not just topsoil or soft, muddy ground. So that's how we get to 38 feet. So if you look at how close now the westerly edge of a new modern standard design road, and there is no variation on this. This is all AASHTO standards. If you're gonna do a road today, it's gonna look like this. It's a county road of this stature. And we're very close to the county drain. County drain, if any of you went out there to look at this, right now, if you pull to the side of the west side of the road, you step off and fall into a drain essentially. And it's like a 1-on-2 slope. I mean, it's pretty dangerous as things go. And we're just getting closer and closer to it. So right now, the standards for AASHTO are that the slopes in the runout zone next to a road of this stature can be no greater than 4-on-1. Currently, this water surface lies 7 feet below the existing and any proposed road surface. So if it's 7 feet below and you've got to be a 4-on-1 slope, you've got to be 28 feet away from the edge of the existing road for this county drain. Come on.
When you say away from the road, do you mean the actual edge of the road or do you mean the right of way?
The road, the actual edge of the road, yes.
With a 2-foot.
For the 2-foot runoff zone or this, okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Is this a class A road by county standards?
No, it's asphalt, so it wouldn't be class A road. Concrete roads are class A roads. We don't have very many class A roads in Washtenaw County, to be honest with you. Wayne County is all concrete, they're all class A. The expressways are class A. When the cross laws come on, the expressways can carry the traffic, you just can't get there, so. So. This is what we're left with. So we've got a 38-foot wide road, 28 feet from the road would be the location of the new drain. So while the new drain is still within the existing easement for the drain, it requires the relocation of this entire length of the drain. All the way from where we would put a box culvert, which would end up being to make this change. To make this change, we cannot, if you look in this corner here, here's the corner of the easement. So to keep the box culvert in the existing easement, this is as far west as we can put the entrance, which is exactly where we proposed the entrance. This would just tilt it a little bit further in a counterclockwise motion if you had one single culvert. However, that one single culvert is 160 lineal feet to get through and have, this has got to be 4-on-1 slopes from this corner down here as well. So that puts the discharge end of the culvert down here. So it's 160 lineal feet. Currently, we have permitted 96 lineal feet. Our proposed option to improve the situation for the residents that are nearby is 108 lineal feet. So it's 12 lineal feet longer. Sure, go ahead.
Lowering the road's not an option, because then you get your slope, you get more relief there.
You end up with a low spot there, and I mean, you might be able to get away with a foot, but not much. I mean, you're not gonna make it like a belly down there. So it's in the floodplain already, and that only exacerbates that, so. Yep, so this solution, number one, leaves the box culvert out of the easement. If you remember, here's the right of way in light yellow there. The only solution leaves the discharge end out of there and onto private property, which now belongs to the township. It was a big deal when we initially had this permitted. It didn't belong to the township. It belonged to a private individual who said if we cut down a single tree on his property, he will see us in court. So I took that to mean he probably wasn't interested in giving us an easement. So, and it also involves 980 lineal feet of stream relocation. We're currently approved for 730 lineal feet, so it's an increase of quite a bit more stream relocation and an increase of about 70 feet of the box culvert. So that's why it's not a viable option. And I know that's what everybody's always asked, can't you like do this? And, you know, it was the first thing that we tried. It's an obvious solution and it just doesn't work for a lot of reasons.
And Scott, primarily that was because Eagle looked at it and said that's too long a culvert and too much stream relocation.
Yes.
I'm just trying to.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That's their no-nos.
Yep. Yeah, when we went to Eagle, jumping ahead, we all knew, talking with the road commission, the drain commission was very, Water Resources Commission and Drain Commission, same thing. I said that for like 30 years, so it's hard to have it to bring. But they were very informative about Eagle's new stance and how they were very concerned about enclosure and relocation. And so we took that into consideration. What we didn't realize, by the time we got around to actually applying for this permit several years later, they were uber concerned about it. They had just adopted a new policy that wasn't even written, but they were following, that they had no standards of evaluation. Everything was just give it to us and we'll decide if we like it. They had absolutely no standards to adhere to. And it just, if it felt right and looked right, they would approve it. And if not, they just ask for more. So we found out they were super concerned about this. And we presented to them several options, including the one that was permitted and including some that actually involved less enclosure and less relocation, but each came with a trade-off to it. Some of the trade-offs were that the road commission wasn't willing to accept a shorter box culvert because it involved putting guardrail down the edge of the road, and they didn't want to maintain that forever. There was some issues about the amount of stream relocation. Even we had one that had smaller stream relocation, but the beauty of what we're proposing right now, and let me get to it. So one of the selling points of what we're proposing, if it ever comes up here, is we have the existing stream here and the existing crossings and road crossing back over here. We can build this box culvert and this new channel offline. We don't have to work with water while we're doing it. We can build it and we can tie it in at the downstream end. We just leave the upstream end as a dike so that no water's flowing through it. We can build this whole thing, we can stabilize it so that it minimizes erosion, downstream erosion and the effects caused by that. And we can get it established and everything before water even goes through it, which is super key and important. So that's one of the reasons that the Eagle was willing to accept a little more stream relocation and more enclosure for this option, because anytime you do something like this, when you're working with a dynamic hydraulic situation, it never fails. You always end up getting 2 50-year events, like immediately after you open it up, that cause erosion and everything. It's just what happens all the time. So they really liked this idea as opposed to other options. So, let's see, what else am I gonna say? I think I've kind of covered that part, how we got here. I mean, ultimately, how we got here is we were so pleased that we found a solution that satisfied the immediate stakeholders. We literally didn't consider that this was a site plan issue. It never even occurred to us. We never had a conversation that like, hey, does this affect our site plan? We were just so thrilled that we got like all the parties in the room together and they all agreed on something. It just never even hit us because the other solutions that we looked at, most of them were confined within the right of way and stuff. So we just never brought it back to the township because it just simply escaped us. So that's why we're here tonight. I have to
Can I
say,
ask you a question?
sure.
So you wanna, so the taking of land has to do with going westward at the top there where your blue water line goes, right? You're not gonna go across Park. Well, you gotta go across Park
Yeah.
to do some, to
Let's see.
deviate from the direction that you're.
Let me see if I can find.
And how does that, I'm not seeing how that affects a realignment of Stabler.
So what you're looking at right here is the existing road and the proposed realignment in red.
Oh, so Stabler will go
Yes.
East.
East.
and the culvert will go
Yes,
west of
exactly,
the stream.
exactly. And so the primary reason for that is the amount of drain relocation that would have to occur if we did it any other way. The stream, the county drain, whatever you want to call it, is an environmental asset. Okay, and as such, it's regulated by the state. The road, not so much. The road commission didn't really care where the road went. They didn't really care if it like shifted a little bit. And so we had to, it was easier to honor the stream, the water course, than it was to honor the alignment of the road. That's how we got to where we're at.
And why, I guess this is a stupid question, but why do you have to move, if you move, I get moving the stream westward, but why do you have to, if you do that, why do you have to move the road east?
Well, so we're moving the road so that we don't have to So we don't have to relocate the stream, because if the stream being right alongside the existing road like this, and this road expands and gets wider, all of this part of the stream, and I don't have the whole thing on, all of this part of the stream has to be relocated. Whereas under our proposal, we're coming across here with a culvert, and then we're tying in right down here, and the rest of it can
Oh, I
remain.
see.
So anything else, leaving the road where it's at, anything else would require an additional 300 feet of stream relocation.
And is Eagle very, real particular about that?
Yes, they are. I mean, they're, right now, they're giving us a hard time about 12 additional feet of enclosure, of box culvert.
So I was gonna ask you where you are, maybe you said that. Where are you now with Eagle on this iteration of plan?
We have made an application when we've gotten initial comments on the content of the application. And we're providing them a little bit more additional information, at which point, when we give this information, our hopes are that they'll consider the application complete. And then that will open up a 60-day window for them to evaluate all of the information in front of them. And during that 60 days, we'll also run concurrently a 20-day public comment period. And at the end of the 60 days, if there's not any significant issues they find deficient, they are willing, it's up to them to either deny the permit or to approve the permit.
So to clarify, we have a copy of a part 31, a part 301 permit from Eagle. Because that was authorized under the old work plan, it's no longer valid.
Exactly. I mean, the only difference, if I overlaid the two right on top of here, you can see the difference, but it's essentially the same. We submitted the exact same information that we got permitted before. With the addition of, like, we added 12 feet to the box culvert, and the hydraulic study got modified to account for that 12 feet. But it was the exact same thing, and we received comments because it's a whole different set of reviewers now. So. They've all moved on, so we don't have the same reviewers, so it's different buttons that we push, so. I mean, I expected a couple of comments, I didn't expect as many, because it's the exact same thing, I mean, it's not like we changed neighborhoods, so.
And the timing. The anticipated timing from them, anything for that?
Well, we haven't gotten to the point where they consider the application complete, and as I said, then there's 60 days. So, I mean, we're anticipating submitting,
Okay, but then they gotta decide and mull it over, right?
they have 60 days to do that.
Okay.
They have only 60 days, yay or nay, they've got 60 days. So, we're talking about resubmitting this, let's call it effectively like May 1st. So they've got 60 days, that'd be June 1st, July 1st, now at the very soonest. So,
So a questions, but, I'm trying to understand, the project was approved by the Board of Trustees, 2015.
Mhm.
You built all this housing,
mhm.
you were complete with this housing when? You're complete with the project.
housing's still under-
It's still going.
Yeah,
Still
there's
going.
probably
Yeah.
another
I'm just
80 some houses.
Why is it taking so long for you to deal with this issue? Maybe that's a better way to ask the question. You've been in negotiation with these three
Well, okay,
governmental entities for 7 years,
so we,
2015.
It's longer than that.
8 years.
yeah, because this component was not required to be completed until after the third phase of the Trailwood subdivision was done. So we agreed upon a concept with the road commission of how this is gonna be done before the road improvement was signed. But there was no need to do detailed engineering at that point. It was only upon completion of the third phase of the Trailwoods that we needed to get this permit and make these improvements. So that wasn't anticipated to occur until about like 2020, 2021.
Yep.
We made the initial permit application in September of 2019. By March of 2020, the whole world went to hell. So nobody was working at Eagle for a while and everything. And then when they were, you remember what it was like. And so we got delayed by that, that probably cost us a year alone. So,
And and what you're offering to do now, that'll be at your expense?
yeah.
None of the residents will have to pay
No.
for any of this.
No, this is part of the whole development, that the road commission recognized that the development was gonna cause a need for improvement on the surrounding roads. And so that was, my client signed up for that. I'm sure he thought he was gonna be done. For that, right?
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
yep. Okay, so
Is it possible to ask clarifying questions from the cheap seats?
When we get there, we'll, yeah, definitely.
okay, so the second part of this was a little bit shorter. So we recognized that when we realized that people were unaware of what was happening with the roads out there, I think it's safe to say that most residents had been told that the roads were going to be paved, but the details of that were not imparted to many, or if any, of the residents. And I don't know exactly what people were told. I speculate on, I hesitate to speculate on that, but I have a hunch a lot of it had to do with the fact that most of the toll crew that worked out here were released and 17,
Yeah.
18?
Yes.
Like corporate toll came in and fired the president of Toll Michigan, the superintendent out here, the real estate acquisition guy left. I mean, it was a total gut job. And some guy from Philadelphia was running the project for, I don't know, a year, maybe something. And so at that point, I'm not sure what happened. And probably part of this was somewhat like the game of telephone, the kids game. I tell my client what's going on. He tells his senior staff what's going on. His senior staff talks to the Toll Brothers senior staff, who talk to the real estate agents out there, who talk to the buyers. And so you can imagine what happens in between there. But that's just speculation on my part, and I can see how that happens. But nonetheless, I mean, we ended up in a situation where the residents, and particularly the ones at the end of this cul-de-sac, who were the most impacted, you know, had concerns that the road was moving. So we met with them. We had we had a lot of communication. We had a physical meeting at my office one evening, and we explained the options of what we could do. And we explained what we couldn't do, much like I just explained to you how we can't keep the road in the location that it's at because of the effects it have on the interface between the drain and the road. And so we gave them several options. Let me guess everything. The first option was that we would provide a berm and heavier, we'd keep the road where it was permitted, and we put a berm back behind there and put landscaping on it. The second option was that we looked at this and we determined that when we picked the location of where the road would shift, we weren't necessarily concerned at that point on the minimum shift to the east. We were just trying to make it work within the confines of keep it in the existing road right of way over here, but we weren't necessarily focused on the minimum amount of shift necessary to accomplish those goals. When we went back and looked at it, in light of the concerns that the residents expressed, we said, well, you know, we can move it back 20 feet to the west, further away from your backyard. So that's the minimum, and keep the grading work within the road right of way, existing road right of way, and existing drain easement. And so we brought this option to them. This option in gray shows the permitted location of the new road where we actually physically got the permit. You can see the old location of Stabler Road over here. The red dotted lines is the shift that we could make further back to the west to pull everything 20 feet further away. This resulted in, obviously, because we're pushing the road further west, it's gonna be a little bit longer culvert. But we rotate the culvert, we keep the inlet end where it's at, down here, the end. We rotate the culvert a little bit and extend it a little bit. That results in the 12-foot extension that I previously spoke about. It didn't result in any further stream relocation, just an additional 12 feet of enclosure. And with that additional 12 feet, it afforded us the capability of making a bigger berm, longer as well, in a north-south direction, to provide more protection and more landscaping space and more trees effectively. Just it made a bigger buffer. And the residents thought that this was probably the best thing. We explained some of the other options, just like I did tonight, about why you can't leave the road where it's at and why 2 culverts weren't a possibility. And everybody understood that. And so this is what we have pursued from the permitting standpoint. We had meetings with Eagle and talked about this option versus the currently permitted option versus some of the other options. And Eagle said, we're not gonna tell you of these 4 choices, which one and everything. We can only really respond to what you provide. But they said, what we'll tell you is you've shown us an option that works, that makes the residents happy, that doesn't involve a significant amount more enclosure or relocation. So why would we approve any of the options? Which is, they were very kind enough. They're basically telling us like, yeah, we'll probably approve that, but don't bring the other stuff to us. Because you've already showed us there's something better that would suit our interest more. So that's what we've done with the residents. Like I said, we're in the process of the permit with Eagle right now. To be very honest with you, I mean, if we're talking about a July 1st permit, we are on the edge of being able to go on this summer. Starting at that point, this is a long project and we don't want to take the roads out of service and the bridges out of service and leave them out of service all winter long. So we're kind of like, everything kind of has to go right at this point now, or this is going to be delayed, so. And I guess that's about all of my short presentation.
Anyone?
No, appreciate it though.
Yeah.
We'll talk
Yeah,
to the chief.
so what we'll do is, I think planning commissioners, if you have any other like clarifying questions, if not, we'll move to, we've already opened the public hearing, but to hear from our consultants. And then we'll open it up for the public. And I have to admit that a public hearing, the way it's run it is a little stifling in that, the comments are addressed to the planning commission and,
There's not that many people here. I think we can converse.
so if it's up to the commissioners, if we wanna, loosen that up, we can do that, okay?
But I just wanted to say, I appreciate the background because I was not here.
I understand, yeah.
Approval,
It's very,
project.
it's very complicated and very technical.
I think I've said this before, but at the time we were deciding about where this road and stream were going, my daughter graduated from high school. She's since graduated with an undergraduate from Michigan Tech University. She's done 4 years of dental school. She's married. She has 2 German shepherds. She's expecting twins any day now and owns a house in Midland. So all of that has happened since like this. So a lot of water under the bridge.
Yeah, 2 bridges.
All right,
So we've talked a lot about the technical stuff, but the planning stuff isn't quite as technical. So I'm gonna talk about what's changed and the procedure moving forward, right? So this is a major amendment to the approved PUD. We talked about that the last time they were here. That's why we're holding a public hearing, because it's a major amendment. So that's the first planning thing. Secondly, Scott spoke great about the relocation of the drain. I understand the relocation of the drain and the culverts and all that stuff, but that isn't really planning. I'm concerned, I would be concerned, and the planning commission would be concerned about the amount of open space that is shifting as part of this development. So the approved plan accounted for 42.8 acres of open space, which is 32.18% of the project. This planned unit development is required to have no less than 30% of the land area as open space. And with this modification, they are gonna provide 42.24 acres, which is a reduction of 0.56 acres of open space for a percentage of 31.76. So they still meet the minimum 30% open space requirement as part of the planned unit development project. Additionally, Scott didn't show you, but there is extensive buffering and landscaping around the most affected neighbors from the Polish family. And so we've looked at that. The only additional item we'd like to see on the landscaping plan is the restoration plan for the Honey Creek relocation. So if you could please add that to a future submittal, that would be great. And then the last thing that we would be concerned about is the amendment to the PUD development agreement or master deed. But those documents have been provided and will be reviewed by the township attorney prior to this going to the township board. So I really don't have anything further planning wise. I hope Stacy's here to answer any engineering technical questions.
Okay, well, John, can you check? with
Yes.
Stacy if,
Do I,
Yeah, you have to promote her or allow her to talk
I
anyway.
got it.
Okay, you got it?
I'm gonna promote the panelist.
And you're fine with all the, I'm looking at your memo, you mentioned the removal of 11 natives on site, you're all.
Yeah, they're proposing
If you're out
mitigation.
there listening, you have been promoted to a panelist. You should. Even if you're not listening, you still been promoted to a panelist.
I'm here.
Uh,
We recommended approval of these plans in our letter from April 10th. We technically had one outstanding comment, but it was just noting that the applicant will need to provide any new permits and correspondence to our office prior to construction. And then we really defer to Eagle, the Road Commission, and Water Resources due to the nature of this project. So we reviewed the amendment from a utility perspective, which it really doesn't impact utilities at all, other than stormwater. And that will fall under Eagle and the Water Resources jurisdiction. So we don't have any comments, but I'd be happy to address any questions that you might have for me if I can answer them. But that's all we've got.
All right, thank you. And just so with that, we'll continue the public hearing, and if folks here are interested in addressing the planning commission and planning commission members, if there are specific questions, do you have an issue with the applicant responding to those questions? Typically, they have, it's a one-way conversation.
I'm willing to waive whatever convention that would prohibit that, given that they're the parties that are here and know the answers. And I see some online attendees that I'm certain are gonna have some good questions that they'd want answered if they could by the parties here.
I would say as long as it stays in control, and you can exert
Yeah.
that anytime. you
Yes,
want.
I mean, it's not a time to,
Right, it's a time for, yes, voicing concerns and asking questions,
What's
yes.
the time limit?
So it's 3 minutes, yeah, it's 3 minutes. And obviously, if people
so
are.
maybe it's a good idea, as I understand the request, if you're still open to questions to project manager, engineer, and they can ask their questions, and then they still have public comment time. So to differentiate between those two.
Yeah, I
You're
don't think,
thinking those would happen at the same time.
I think they're good. I think they'll happen at the same time, but I don't think we're gonna say, the 3 minutes includes the answer to the question, that.
I'll stop the clock during the.
Yeah.
Well, let me think about it. Where was I?
But I mean, as long as we can keep, we're genuine about, requesting information and so forth, we're good. All right, because I know it's hard, because this is so, so technical and trying to, understand the whole history behind it. So with that, I'll ask people to come forward. Please sign in under the the sheets that are on the table. So it's whoever, one at a time, come forward and.
First, let me, ask you questions, or how does that work?
I would sign in first because the minute you start talking, and then we'll start the clock, so the sign in is free time.
Great. Welcome.
Take a seat here. Why not, right?
Yep.
Thank you very much, first of all, for having the public hearing. We're really very much appreciated and overdue, in my opinion. So thank you for that. Question on the
What's your name, please?
Matthias Bauer.
Thank you.
Matthias.
two pieces to that question, a little clarification on what's happening to the east of the new road. Kind of, I hear there's half an acre that's gonna be consumed with something. What, and second question then with that, because, so a resident of Trailwoods, just for context. So I bought into HOA with half an acre more green space, if I understand this right. And now my question, and that's part of the master deed, which I received during the contracting phase. What's the plan to replace that half an acre of green space, even if we are within the limits of what is legally required?
Yeah, perhaps Scott, you could put up the landscape plan and the berm and just briefly go over that.
Can I just clarify your question, Mr. Bauer? Are you saying you're not losing half acre of your property?
No.
You're losing half acre of public green space?
Of the HOA that I'm part of and paying into, fees into.
Open space.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Laura, do you want to address that portion while we're getting up the?
So David might be able to also, but yeah, as part of this review, there are documents that are also associated with this change. And that should be documented in the change, the document change, right? Yeah, so it'll just show that it's less. So, you're not gonna gain it back. You're gonna lose that half acre of open space.
And the documents will reflect that.
Yeah.
So the documents will reflect that I'm losing half an acre of HOA space.
The whole HOA.
The whole development is losing, yes.
Correct.
So I understand what you're saying. You are losing a half acre, but I want to point out that this is not a half acre of really usable open space. This is mostly property that's between the existing drain and the existing edge of the road. I mean, it's not improved open space. It's nobody's playground. So it's very low quality open space. I know it's a half acre, but it isn't like we're taking something out of the middle of the subdivision that people are using. I would bet that nobody's ever actually even walked in this area here because it's so thick, you can't get through it. So.
Okay. Okay, Scott, then do you want to put up the berm and the landscaping?
So this is what we're replacing it with. All of these, there's a berm here that I've removed the contours because it just got too busy. But there's berm here that gets to be up to 8 feet high at the highest point. For the most part, it's 4, 5, 6 feet high, but in this area back here, it gets to be about 8 feet high. There's 59 trees planted in here. And so it provided a very effective buffer.
Did you just say that they will be planted in there?
Yes.
It's not existing.
No, there will be planted new trees.
I'll do.
I wanted them to hear that.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, this was the best compromise we could reach between, you know, what's permittable and what's acceptable to the nearby neighbors, so.
Is it going to be considered wetland?
The berm isn't, you mean
Yeah.
that's where the permitting for Eagle comes in.
Yeah.
In dealing with that. Now, what we've asked them to provide in the next submittal is also what they're doing in the Creek Ricks.
Which is across the street from this, like.
So
Thank you.
just for clarification, so that open flat grass that is there right now is gonna be a berm with trees that are to be planted, which are not as big obviously yet. Okay, so, all right.
Yeah, and you can go online and see this packet, and the landscape plan is on there with the types of trees and so forth. Yeah. And I just want to preface this by saying typically, and because tonight is Passover too, we are going to entertain a motion to, we call it postpone, but it would be entertain a motion to continue the public hearing on May 13th too. So just so people are.
It will come back up again.
Yeah.
You'll have another opportunity.
All right. Even though we haven't had that motion or anything like that, but.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be.
I'd also be okay with a special meeting, to move it up sooner if people wanted to.
Looks like
Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Ehrlich. I live at 6185 Green Mountain Circle, which is at the far other end of the development, Park Road and Cedar Ridge. I just have one clarifying question. I haven't been part of some of the meetings that went on since last year. So big picture, my understanding here is that they listened to the residents from last year and you guys have moved it 20 feet to the east.
To the west.
To the west, to the west.
Further away from the
Right,
backyard.
further away from the backyards.
Yeah.
And so you've already, I mean, there's been a lot of back and forth that way. All right, then that question answered. I just wanted to say thank you for that. Thank you for listening to the residents in the last year. From where I stand as a resident, I'm not concerned with the loss of 0.56 acres. I'd love to know what percentage of the overall green space that is. I would guess that it's less than 1%. So, you know, I would recommend approving this as a resident. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else here that wants to address the planning commission? Right, seeing no one, we'll turn to folks online. If you could raise your hand if you would like to speak.
Help me out. This is so I don't miss anybody.
Now, usually they'll go to the top when their hands get raised.
Can
You just sit there.
the online participants on Zoom hear us? I see several names, but I don't see any hands raised. Just by way of example, Rob, you have your hand up, or did you want to put your hand up?
Rob, if you could hear us, put your hand up just to say that.
Oh, I do see a hand up,
All right.
and it is. It,
Yeah, so you should be able to just.
yeah, loud and clear.
Thank you, Rob Pattinson, Scio
Okay,
Township
great.
resident. We can hear you and you have answered most of my questions. I just have one question. What is the application number to Eagle so that we can find that on the Eagle website?
Hold on, I think I can find that for you through email.
And it may not be posted until it's deemed complete.
No, I have an application number. You may not be able to view it until it's complete, but as long as someone's asking, I can do that.
Can I ask an ad hoc question? Do residents have the ability to make comments to Eagle?
Yes, there will be a 20-day comment period. Yeah, and we'll try and remind me, Laura, and maybe we can even post that on a banner on the website when that comes up, just like the Gelman is posted now.
All right. The Eagle permit application number is capital HQ 1 dash capital 2 capital X capital J dash capital W1, capital W, capital E, capital Q. And I have no idea when you would be able to see that or anything, so
Okay.
that's all I can tell you.
Okay, and that will go in the minutes too. So,
And how
Right.
would you know when the 20-day public comment period is open with Eagle?
typically, Eagle notifies the township of when there's a public hearing, a public notice regarding something in the township.
So we can put that on the banner with the number. Did you hear that, Rob?
Did, thank you very much.
Now we follow through with it.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I'll, typically, I think the clerk would.
So I'm not sure if Eagle will answer any questions. What they're going to do is they'll probably say, do you want to have a public hearing? In which case you agree to attend a meeting. So
But first, you can make comments.
I don't think you can, but like, let's see. I mean, I think what they do is how this is set up is they've got 20 days to determine whether a public hearing is necessary. At a public hearing, you can ask all the questions, but if you agree to, you want a meeting, to them to have a meeting, then they would schedule a meeting where you could ask them questions. Quite honestly, every time I've been to one, they say, well, let me take that under advisement and I'll get it back to you. So.
Yeah, if I remember right, they did come, I think depending on how much comment that they get,
Yeah.
they will either schedule a public hearing, or I think on one instance, they actually attended one of the planning commission meetings to answer some questions.
Yeah.
No, they sent us a letter.
No,
They sent you a memo?
That was actually a board of trustees meeting, I think, or maybe that was for Heritage Woods.
in any event, there was a little bit more than,
Yeah,
yeah,
one.
but,
They didn't ignore us.
yeah, but they couldn't answer any questions.
Yeah.
Or they wouldn't answer any questions.
Yeah, they generally don't answer. They take comment. That's why it's called a public comment. Like, so they just take comments and then I don't know what they do with them.
Rob, you're done. You have a little bit of time left on your 3 minutes.
Okay, is there anyone else online that, please raise your hand, if you would like to comment. All right.
Assuming Rob is, he was done, okay. There are no other hands raised. I would move to close.
We're not gonna do that.
Oh, because some people can't be here, you're right.
Yeah.
I would move to postpone the balance of this public hearing.
There you go.
The Trail Woods Public PUD amendment to our May 13th Planning Commission meeting, a regular meeting of the Planning Commission, May 13th, 7 p.m.
Support.
Okay, support by Commissioner Hyde. Any further discussion?
Call question.
Okay, a roll call vote, please.
Rothney,
Yes.
Walsh, yes. Moore,
Yes.
Gable,
Yes.
Hyde,
Yes.
Riser,
Yes.
Culbertson.
Yes. All right, so the public hearing will be postponed until May 13th. We will again open the public hearing and there'll probably be I don't know if there's a summary of the presentation. The other request that I have is, I think the highlighted drawings that you showed were helpful. If you could also send those in for the record, that would be.
Those are the ones with the width of the.
Correct.
Yeah, that's very, adding those to the packet for the May 13th packet will be very helpful.
In answering any questions that have been proposed, answering some of you have 2 questions or
Yep.
1.
Well, the restoration plan
Right.
and, there was a minor other landscaping item, but.
Yeah, we'll have the restoration plan for you prior to that.
And I think your
The
memo,
landscaping plan?
memo
Oh, the grade, okay, yeah, sure.
I think your memo points out that there's no certified landscaper signature on the landscape fix.
Yeah,
Pardon me?
That's an easy
that's an
fix.
easy.
Yeah.
fix.
I've got 8.
All right, then, yeah, yes, go ahead.
There's a very minor thing that you have in your your amendment to the agreement. It says change wherever it says quote Honey Creek, unquote, to quote Trailwoods, unquote. There's at least one paragraph in there, 3.24, where it talks about the active creek. It says Honey Creek, you don't want to change that to Trail.
Oh, gotcha.
Thank you.
Hunt our lawyer down. Make fun of it, which I enjoy doing, so,
Okay. All right, then, we'll continue on. We do have, our bylaws.
thank you, everybody.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
See ya.
We'll see you in a month.
Yeah.
So moving on to bylaws.
Yeah, very important. Are we going to oppose, are we going to postpone 7C as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know the reason I see that Stacy Monte's still here.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
so,
She's luckily.
well, we do have we have our reports again.
She's trying to help.
Okay, so we have both, the kind of strike through marked up bylaws and a clean copy.
Right.
So. I'm just gonna open up clean copy, so it's easier to read. Or
It's easier to find.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so what, if it's okay with folks, what I'd like to do is just kind of go, go through paragraph by paragraph. And that way we're sure that we've got, we've got eyes, yeah, on the clean copy, and we can put up, you can kind of split your screen if you want, with the markup. And just to be sure that, we've gone through it, yes.
Are you on?
No. Oh, you mean as far as the,
Online.
yeah, for online people, if they're both the markup and the bylaws is in the packet, so, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I was just gonna have.
That we're all through it.
Go through it online, which is.
I mean, I can promote.
Oh, this is our third time.
I'm not,
Is that doing
I'd
that?
have to log in.
I don't.
I'm not on it. Okay, all right. Okay, so the first paragraph is updated.
Article 1, is that what you on the first?
Oh, sorry, I just skipped right to Article 2, sorry.
Article 2, Section 2?
Well, actually, that first paragraph is new.
Yep.
And that was put in to address our concerns at the last meeting about leaving stuff out just because it's covered by a statute. Remember, we were.
Yeah,
the
it
attorney
lists
had
all
said,
the-
this is redundant, it's all covered by statute, and you and I had talked about. But we don't, the people come on to the commission, people leave, we have to go look it up, especially if you don't know it's pursuant to such and such statute, so. That paragraph is in there, so you don't have to do that.
So it's all in one place.
There is a waiver period in section 2.1.
I see that.
We're theory.
Oh,
Okay. Okay, so we're moving on to section 2.0.
Oh, does it spell out? Or?
no, it does not.
I thought that was going to be in there.
Isn't that later on?
That's later on, I believe. The quorum is down at
Quorum is
4.1.
later on, okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Just so you know, the clean copy was made directly from the marked up copy, just so there might be some formatting things, but the language itself is the same on both.
Yeah.
Cause all I did was say, accept all, save as a clean.
Okay,
Okay,
no.
I just wanna make sure you guys.
No, we,
Okay,
So there were some people that weren't here last time.
okay, just making sure.
You didn't type it all over again?
No, I didn't.
Oh, remember those days? Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
God. All right. All right, anything on 2.1? We're good? Okay, 2.2,
Wait, you said 2.1 was a stray period?
there's
Well.
just, will,
I assume scrivener's errors will be correct.
I will take care of all formatting. There's a couple things. but-
Okay. 2.2.
2.2, we didn't change. Article 3, officers. And we decided to, yeah, just make
What's
it
our
after the.
compensation?
What's that? I'm sorry?
Oh, we're not getting a raise?
That's
That's the last time that was reviewed.
Well, we,
Get a lot of
we've
thank
done a
yous.
poll, yeah, we've done some polling about, you know,
Just interesting.
the. The compensation is,
Yeah.
yeah, relatively insignificant.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was more trying to be funny than
Oh.
anything.
I figured that out.
Sorry.
Bob was watching.
Raises come with performance.
Okay, anything, so Article 3, we're good?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Article 4, decisions. Four point one, the quorum, and we did add that it's four, to make sure it's clear that it's, even if there are only 6 members who are appointed at the time, the quorum is still 4. Because that's the way the
Statute reads.
the statute reads, yes.
So I have a question on quorum. Somebody's quorum continues, once you've established quorum, it continues for the duration of the meeting, even if people have to leave.
No,
Otherwise, a quorum means quorum, and if somebody leaves, you might lose quorum.
Yes.
That's okay, I just clarification.
good question.
Okay, section 4.2, voting.
Abstention has no effect on votes. Passage requires a majority of votes, not abstentions. So, okay, if 6 vote, you have to have 4 to pass. Okay.
Yes. And this also gets rid of the tie issue.
No,
No, tie will defeat a motion.
Well, that's what I mean,
Well,
is
it
before we.
clarifies the tie.
This was always in there. It
Oh.
was always.
so are these,
It actually,
Stop. It was in when the last time you had a tie.
oh yeah, but they didn't.
Nobody remembered it
Anyway.
was there.
It's okay. It's not new.
We're fine.
It's not new. It's in there.
Okay, thank you.
is it going to be bold in the final version?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Or do you not want it to be?
No, I don't mind the shouting.
Some things are important.
No, that's fine, that's
to
fine.
be-
It brings your attention.
You kinda got used to that, huh?
Oh, bless your heart.
Oh.
All right. Okay, then we're going to the duties. Other than, we clarified the capital improvements,
Yes. Yes.
okay?
The only thing I would suggest would be capital CIP and get rid of the S, so capital improvement plan, capital CIP. Because that's how we refer to it, but I'm not gonna get hung up on capitalization under page 3, letter J.
Well, that could be, I think that's fine to do that because that is a specific. And we'll call that a formatting.
Yeah.
Okay, regular meetings.
Ooh. Back to J, unless the board asks us to assist.
Well, because it is in the Planning and Enabling Act is listed
Right.
under one of the
Alright.
duties. So,
That they agreed to do, but they could ask us to do. So
correct.
That would be.
That would be horrific, wouldn't it? Oh, sorry.
In process.
Challenge.
It would be a, thank you. We'll have you do.
We
this.
just talk that through, or do we get to talk to an accountant, or?
Oh, let's just have at it.
Well, so
Let's
what
just
we,
move on.
what we do is we come up with the projects and then let them work out the financial issues.
Oh,
Better keep going.
Yes, let's get going.
Anyways, keeping
We can
schedule.
get into the, yes. All right, the schedule,
See,
all right. All right, 6.1, public notice.
good.
6.2, change of schedule. This allows us, it's very clear that lack of agenda items is a reason.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, reconvene meetings.
No change.
6.4, meeting cancellation, gives us some specific conditions. Special meetings. No change. Okay, the addresses of the public.
They give their name. You don't need to give their name.
Correct. And be anonymous public comment. Right, moving on to 8.1.
not to us.
Okay, and then the agenda. We added the adoption agenda and we moved the minutes.
Oh, good, we got the adoption of the agenda.
roll call, adoption.
May I ask, at one point, there was question about whether we needed to vote on closing public comments, is that? I mean, if it doesn't say we need to vote on it, we don't need to, or
It says that the chair can open it. But I think,
Usually
page
the
are we
motion
on?
to close, and
Five.
that'd be Robert's rule.
and we're talking, I'm 5 on this one. I don't know.
Okay. Because that's gonna be under Article 10, public hearings.
But
It's coming up, isn't it?
I don't know what you're.
Public hearings.
Yeah,
it's in
For
the
public
next section.
comments? Okay.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah, public. So closing the public comment period.
I think it's a good idea to keep that motion in there. It kind of makes it official.
that everyone has
Signifies it
to
in the
agree
minutes.
that
Yeah.
public comment is.
Okay.
Because there may
Don't-
be some time where,
We don't. Other people don't, other bodies don't. If we do it.
So
it
what?
takes us 10
Has it not
seconds.
been working well,
right.
folks?
Right,
If
no,
it's
right.
not been working,
No,
if
it's
it's
fine.
working good, it's not broke.
fine.
let's
I
not
agree.
fix
It's fine.
it.
Okay, I agree, I just want to agree.
okay, so let's go through then public hearings. Conflict of interest. No change. And then just
It was a minor change in section.
oh. Oh, right, just because we don't have a step down from a bench. Okay, amendments? Yes.
Are we on page 7 yet?
Yes.
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 You have something?
In conflict of interest or?
No, although we cannot help but have some repetition, please try to avoid reiterating the same points that were made by the previous speakers, and please do not involve personalities. Be as factual as possible. So these are our bylaws that apply to us and now to the public?
Well, that,
No,
yeah,
this is what's going to be read.
This is the
Okay.
statement that, so I just do that 3-minute thing. Technically, this will be the statement I need to read. Okay,
As am I.
all right.
Conflict of interest?
Okay. Then we have, had this before us and we did get, and this was, distributed to the planning commission at least 7 days prior to the meeting, so, we can.
Move
act on
adoption of the
these.
bylaws as amended?
Second,
Wow.
whichever one.
Okay, we'll say that Commissioner Yeaple, seconded that. All right, and, roll call vote, and I think we need a two-thirds. Because you need we need yeah, for amendment of the bylaws. Okay, a roll call vote, please.
Walsh, yes. Riser,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Rothney,
Yes.
Hyde,
Yes.
Gable,
Yes.
Culbertson.
Yes. Right, thank you.
I will make the formatting changes and make sure everybody gets a copy.
And then this goes to does this go to the trustees?
No.
No, okay.
It goes to the office who will post it.
Okay.
I would move adoption and forego, reports. I'm sorry, I would
Adoption
move adjournment and.
We have to do
move-
minutes yet.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
You want to move
Yeah.
adoption minutes? I will move it.
go right ahead.
I'll move adoption minutes.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion on the minutes? It was, moved, I want to, for the record, Yeaple and Hyde, yes. All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Then
I would move, adjournment and.
we have one public comment yet.
Oh, we do have another public
Yeah.
comment. I apologize.
I think we hopped over that, but there is no one left in the township hall. Is there anyone online that would make a public comment?
If you can hear me, attendees, now's the time to raise your hand. I'm not seeing any. I'm not hearing any.
All right, then,
Move close public comment.
Second.
moved by Moore, seconded by Yeaple. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right?
Move to adjourn.
Moved by Commissioner Moore and seconded by Commissioner Yeaple. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned at 8:23. Thank you very much.